Okay, guys. Woke up this morning and I saw I had a comment on one of my videos. I'm gonna try to pronounce the guy's channel. I think it's called Dingozilla, Dinglezilla, and I don't think he's from Texas. I'm pretty sure of that. Anyway, he commented on some of my videos I put up yesterday about some of the components for after treatment. But anyway, I actually spent some time this morning because I wanted to get some of my facts correct before I brought you this video. Uh, and I was really surprised that it took several attempts to find what I was looking for. First of all, the emissions reduction or the soot reduction was something that they had been chasing for a while. The EPA, and they finally got it. And they went ahead and got it, and Bill Clinton signed it into law in '99. I remember that, but I couldn't find it right away because I was looking for the specifics. And yes, the law, when it passed, it said that they had to reduce emissions by 90% by a certain target date. I couldn't find the official target date, but I did find that they wanted a reduction by 70% by 2004. So it gave everybody 4 years to try to get up to speed. And they took a run at it, and I think they did okay. Now, uh, I do remember there was two manufacturers that fought it, and they fought it for a while. Caterpillar was one, and I think the other one was Mac. Mac, I could be wrong on that, but like I said, I was trying to find information, and it was kind of difficult to find it because it wasn't coming right up, which is kind of weird. But anyway, that's on that subject. The emissions for the trucks that came from the EPA, that came from Clinton, who approved it, and then everyone got sucked in, and everyone had to comply. So that's how that came about. Um, Also, our friend Dingozilla, if I'm pronouncing that correct. If not, he can make a video and correct me, and I apologize in advance if I'm not saying it right. Or Dinglezilla uh, commented that he likes to watch other people. And it so happens that I watch them too. One of them, and there's so many people out there that make great videos. So many. I mean, I wish I could think of all of them. And if I could, we'd be here for 45 minutes. But one that comes to mind is a Western Truck Repair. Great channel. I think the guy's in California, does a lot of great stuff. And I think everyone, if you got time, go over there and watch his channel. It's pretty good stuff. But the other day I was watching a video, and he was doing some liner protrusion measurement on a tractor, which made me, before I get onto this is the first company that went compliant with the new regulation on the EPA that came out of '99, and that was Cummins. Cummins Diesel was, I could be wrong, but if I remember, they were one of the first ones to go compliant and meet the regulation on time. Um, like I said, I was really surprised at how difficult it was to try to get some of the specifics of the law or some of the information. Usually, you put a couple keywords and boom, it comes right up. But for some reason, Clinton, yeah, diesel reduction, soot reduction, it took several tries. But anyway, Cummins was, I believe, one of the either the first one or one of the first ones to be compliant with the law. Anyway, getting back to this, Western Truck Repair was doing some liner installations, and he got out his tooling to measure liner protrusion. And right here, that's a inside micrometer for bore. That's your dial indicator. Usually you would use that for crankshaft thrust play. And then this one would be for my liner protrusion. You go ahead and you mount your gauge, and you can do your liner protrusion, and you can adjust it. And this one, for you guys that did the big cam 400 350, you know, the 855 Cummins, you know, you would put this like this, and you would measure your valve protrusion on your cylinder head before you installed it to make sure that the machine shop and had set it correctly, because if your valve protrusion was too high, you would have piston to valve contact and you'd destroy the head and break the valve. But that was a precaution. You know, normally, um, it, when I was younger, I worked at a machine shop and I spent several years. And one thing you learn was you check everything. You get a crank, even though 3 or 4 guys have already checked it. The guy that ground it checked it before he removed it. The guy that polished it, he checked it when he got through with it. And the guy that put it on the rack checked it before he mounted it on the rack. And I'm going to pick a crankshaft because we would check radius, oil chamfers, taper out of round, straightness, thrust face, you know, clearance on the with the bearing for end thrust play. But even though all that was done 3 different times, as a builder, when you got it, you would do the same thing. Every journal, out of round, taper, you know, dial indicator, check it for straightness in the center main. And you just took a lot of precautions. And Western Truck Repair, he was doing his liner protrusion, and it reminded me of something that happened. For years, when I left the machine shop, I would build engines, and this is part of the tool group that I have. I didn't bring it all out, but this is part of the tool group I would use to measure the certain things I wanted to do. But what happened was I got hired by a dealer, and I went over there, and I'll never forget the first time I did an in-frame. I brought these out, and I got my sheet and my micrometers, and I spent, I don't know, half a day maybe, you know, checking everything, right? Checking the crank, checking the block, checking the uppers, the lowers, checking the surface with a straight edge, making sure we don't have so much, checking each individual liner protrusion, checking it at 4 spots, you know, and then of course documenting everything. And I'm thinking maybe 3 hours, I don't know. And I'll never forget, the shop foreman runs over there and he says, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Man," I said, I'm checking everything on the block, you know. I'm checking everything on the block. I'm checking the rods, I'm checking the big ends with that guy right there, because I could check the big ends too. You know, check them for taper, check them for out of round on the connecting rods, check the pin bushings. So many things you can check, right? Cylinder head, the valves, protrusion, or countersunk. You know, go to the book, look up the specs, make sure everything's on the money. And I'm not going to say who the dealer was, but then the guy told me, he goes, "No." He goes, "We don't do that here." He goes, "Our parts are guaranteed to be on the money." He goes, "You just put it together and you go." And I was shocked. So all these tools, after a month being there, and I worked there for some years. After a few months of being there, I brought all this home because they never wanted to see it out because it wasn't cost efficient. They would charge the customer, like if we were going to do it, you know, they would charge the customer, you know, all the time it took to, you know, check the surface of the block, you know, check for pitting, make sure it's straight, make sure the counter bore is the correct depth, check the lowers, make sure they're not pitted with the oil ring seal, check the oil galleries, the oil passages, check all the bolt holes, you know. They would charge the customer for all that. And what would happen is, if you were persistent on having to do some kind of check, you could hit each bolt hole with a blowgun. You could put the liner in the block and get a penny and run a penny across the block in the liner. And if that penny lifted, you were good to go. That's about as good as checking as we got there at that place. I never liked doing that. I never did. But anyway, thought I'd make a video, more of a rant. But hey, I appreciate everybody watching and I appreciate the comments. Thanks.